This video is about the Chinese Civil War, which lasted from 1927 to 1949. On the one side, there was the Republic of China with the National Party Kuomintang under the leadership of Chiang Kai-shek. On the other side, there was the Communists, and the most important person there was Mao Zedong. China was an empire over a long time, but the traditional China was in decline, and in 1911 there was a revolution. A republic was installed and Sun Yat-sen was president. But there was another influential politician, Yuan Shikai. He pressured the revolutionaries, and under this pressure, Sun Yat-sen resigned from presidency in favor of Yuan Shikai, who remained in Beijing and ruled with an authoritarian style. Against this background, the Kuomintang was founded very early. Several opposition groups came together to form a national party. Yuan Shikai wanted to be emperor, but that did not go down too well. He had to resign, died, had to abdicate, died shortly afterwards, but this meant that there was no strong central government anymore, and the reign of the warlords began. In the south, Sun Yat-sen formed a counter-government in 1921. The same year, the Communist Party was founded in Shanghai. 2 years later, the Communists and the Kuomintang formed the first united front to bring order to China. In 1925, Sun Yat-sen died and Chiang Kai-shek took over. He launched a few very successful campaigns against the warlords and could bring order to China. It should be mentioned that the warlords were still important. Anyway, there was no order in China, the communists were not needed anymore, so the first united front collapsed. By the way, the positions of Kuomintang and communists were by now far away from each other. The communists started to recruit a guerrilla army, and then they started a civil war on the 1st of August 1927 with the Nanchang Rebellion. In 1927, also Mao Zedong entered the stage. He led the Autumn Harvest Uprising. The communists could gain control over provinces in the south of China. The Kuomintang launched several major offensives against the communists. 4 could be repelled, but the 5th was successful. The communists were encircled, but somehow they managed to slip out and the Long March started. This Long March was for the communists legendary, and it was the basis for Mao's popularity and leadership. To the second phase during the Sino-Japanese War. A bit earlier, the Japanese increased their influence in China in 1931. They formed the puppet state Manchuria, and then there was the Xen Incident. An allied warlord took Chiang Kai-shek prisoner and forced him to form the Second United Front with the communists against the Japanese. Then the Second Sino-Japanese War started and Japan could take control of vast parts in eastern China. The Kuomintang fought the conventional war and was constantly weakened by that. The communists led a guerrilla war against the Japanese, won popularity within the population, and their priority was to prepare for the later struggle with the Kuomintang. Important was then the new Fourth Army incident. Communists were repeatedly assaulting Kuomintang forces. Then there was an agreement the communists should withdraw. They did so, but were ambushed by Kuomintang forces. That meant the Second United Front collapsed. And only the pressure from Moscow and Washington secured a fragile truce between communists and Kuomintang. During the war, the Soviets occupied Manchuria, and when Japan surrendered in the Second World War, also the Sino-Japanese War was over. Chiang Kai-shek and Mao met, and they said, yes, we will find a peaceful way for China, but that was not really their intention. So the third phase of the civil war could start. The Soviet army withdrew from Manchuria and they allowed the communists to move into rural areas. the United States airlifted Kuomintang troops into urban areas. Now Chiang started a major attack, major offensive against the communists. The communists were too weak to meet him in an open battle, so they chose the strategy of passive defense. And they were successful in wearing down the Kuomintang forces. By 1947, they themselves could go on the offensive. Firstly, they took control of Manchuria, then of parts in eastern China, took control of the area around Beijing, could take the Kuomintang capital Nanjing. On the 1st of October 1949, Mao Zedong proclaimed the People's Republic of China. Chiang Kai-shek and 2 million Chinese escaped to Taiwan. Now we have de facto 2 Chinese states, the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China on Taiwan. Both states claim to represent all of China. This was a hostile relationship, but after time economic relations were established. And there was never a formal end of the Chinese Civil War or the recognition of one state, one de facto Chinese state by the other. That was the Chinese Civil War in 5.